Shita of Rabbi Yehuda that argues with Rabbi Meir that we had in the first Perek of the Eluk Sharim. Rav Meir holds that Kol Kesher Shehu Yachol Lahatira Ba'achas Miyodov already downgrades that from an Isur D'Oraisa to an Isur D'Rabbanan, Ein Chayav and Olav. When we were learning yesterday, we were wondering whether anyone argues with Rav Meir or not. Today we'll begin that Rabbi Yehuda argues with Rav Meir, and he holds that it's all about what your intent was when you tied that knot. And any kesher shel kayama, that means that you tied it in order for this knot to remain, even if you can untie it with one hand, Rabbi Yehuda holds you will still be chayiv midoraisa. We're going to learn some laws regarding mutza. We're going to have this a lot more later in Perek Kol HaKelim, starting in DAF Kuf Chav Beis. We're almost there. But our sugya is going to follow the shita that if you have a keli, shemalachte le'isr, that means it's made and designated only to be used for something that may not be done on Shabbos, then this article is mutza on a level that you may not move it at all. And we're going to be speaking about various kelim, various weavers' instruments, all connected to weaving, whether they have the status of a keli shemalachte le'isr or not. And that's going to lead us into the sugya of hachana. Hachana means that we may not use Shabbos for the weekday. In other words, we may not do anything on Shabbos that's a hachana for what you need on the weekday, because you're using Shabbos l'choil. We're going to be contrasting Shabbos and Yom Kippur. Could you use Shabbos for Yom Kippur? Could you use Yom Kippur for Shabbos? And we're going to have a moededika machlokes between Rabbi Yishmael and Rabbi Akiva. We're going to learn a lot about the importance of having big day Shabbos. We're going to learn based on psukim, right, in Nevi'im, that lo yehei deburcha shel Shabbos ki deburcha shel chol. We're going to be learning about the detriment of taking a psia gasa, of taking the pshat is taking very large strides. We're going to speak out how large that is. If a person did take very large strides when they walk, that is detrimental to their eyesight, to their vision. We're going to learn in the Gemara a remedy for it. However, we will learn that if a person took a psia gasa on Shabbos itself, then the remedy that we will learn about will not be effective. We're going to have the application of the pasuk in Mishlei Tein L'chacham V'yechkam Oid. We'll see in the Gemara who specifically does that refer to. We're going to have a tremendous insight in Rus, between conversations of Boyas and Rus. We'll have a deeper understanding of that. We will also have a beautiful interpretation in Psukim and Yeshaya that are foretelling to the downfall of the armies of Sancheriv. I know the sugya primarily was learned in Sanhedrin, but when Sancheriv came and he surrounded Yerushalayim in the times of Chizkiyahu HaMelech, he was so confident in his might that he said that even God cannot protect us, and the tremendous miracles that happened, that 185,000 of his officers, Pasha, died in their sleep, and we're going to learn details of what their death looked like, and a lot more. Let us start where we left off. We left off on Daf Kuf Yud Gimel, by the Mishnah, 6 lines from the top of the Amid, and Nachamol, when we learned the first Mishnah in the Perek, when we learned Shitas Rab Meir, that said that if you can untie a knot with one hand, that already means that that knot is not a biblical violation. And here we will learn Rabbi Yehuda that argues with that opinion. Okay, so let us start with the Mishnah. Says the Mishnah, Koshrin Dli Bepesikia, very important and relevant halacha in the times of Chazal. They didn't have running water, plumbing. You had a well. How did you get the water from the well? You had a pail and you had a rope that you used to lower the bucket to pick up the bucket. What happens if there's no rope? So here's again the Nakuda. We learned the 3 steps of Kshira. If you do it according to Rashi, it's all about time. If you tie a knot forever, Chayev Doiraisa. If you do it Liyamim Achadim, if you do it, let's go with how we paskin, for 24 hours or more, we're Machmer, Chayev, it's Asr, the Rabbanan. If you do it in a way that within 24 hours you will untie it, then you are allowed to do it lechatchila. So if you have a pail, says the Mishnah Pashta, good eitzah. use a garment, right? A psikia is a girdle. It's a garment that you use. If you're going to use that as the substitute for the rope, then you can be assured that you're only going to use it now to get water from the well, but you're not going to leave it there for a long amount of time because the woman is going to need that garment back. So b'meila, that's what you should use. But do not use a rope. However, Rabbi Yehuda says, no, matir, you may use a rope. And the obvious question will be, why can you use a rope? You might leave it there, and a lot more in the Gemara to explain the shita of the Tana Rabbi Yehuda. And now adds Rabbi Yehuda, Klal Amar Rabbi Yehuda, and this is in response to Rabbi Meir, Kol Keser She'eina Shel Kayama. That's the only thing. If it's not made to be permanent, only then Ein Chayav and Olav. Then are you not Chayav. Meaning that if you tie the knot in order for it to remain, even if it's a knot that's loose, that you can untie with one hand, nevertheless, if you tied it Shel Kayama, then you are Chayav. To downgrade the Chiyuv, it has to be She'eina Shel Kayama. And again, if it's only Eina Shel Kayama Oilamis, at least it's not Asur Doiraisa. When is it Takamuter? When you're going to tie it and untie it within 24 hours. The typical example will be your shoes, shoelaces, a tie, all of these knots, even if we follow Shita Sarambam, that there may not be any type of professional knot involved. These are not professional knots. Every commoner knows how to make them, and they're not Shel Kayama, and they're made to be undone, and then it's completely mutter. Okay, so now we have to understand the Gemara, what is Shitas Rabbi Yehuda, that he says you can even use a chevel for a bucket. Chevel d'mai, ile me chevel d'alma. Obviously, Rabbi Yehuda cannot be referring to stam a rope. Rabbi Yehuda matir. We're going menakotza el akotza. It should be chayv doiraisa, because a rope is something that you would leave on the pail. By the well, pails had ropes attached to them the whole time. Kesher shel kayamahu, and it should be on the biblical level prohibited. Elot, I must be that what type of rope are we referring to? Chevel de garde, a weaver's rope. In other words, since the weaver, he needs this rope for his umnes, he needs it for his profession. Obamele, he will never leave it tied permanently. It's only a temporary knot. So the Tanakama only gave the option of a garb of a woman. And the Tanakama doesn't allow a weaver's rope. Rabbi Yehuda allows a weaver's rope. Now hold on. Why would the Chachamim not allow a weaver's rope? Why is that different than a garment? And the answer is, it must be a garment, no one is going to leave. And by the way, a chevel of gardi, no one will leave, but it's a rope. So the question is, are you geyser that if people will see that you can use a rope of a weaver, maybe they'll use tama rope. So the Chachamim make such a gezerah, and Rabbi Yehuda does not subscribe to that gezerah. That's the understanding. Asks the Gemara, Lememra, if this is it, that the Rabbanan Sabri Gazrinan Chevel de Gardi Oto Chevel de Alma, and Rabbi Yehuda is the Mekel, and he holds Le Gazrinan. When such a type of gezerah, we're going to quote now a Braisa, that the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda each one say the opposite. They go in opposite directions. Did it mean who says in a Braisa here? Chevel deletion nifsak. It's similar case. You have the pail. You have the pail. You have a rope. The rope that you leave in the well, it tied. It got cut. It disconnected. So now you have to retie it. Now how are you going to retie it? So says the Braisa, lo yehei koishroi. Don't put the two parts together with a normal knot, because that's going to stay there permanently. What should you do? Elo oinvoi, make a bow. Making a bow. And this really goes back into the machlokes, the way we will learn between Rabbi Meir, right, and Rabbi Yehuda, that Rav Meir holds that if you make a bow, being that a bow could be undone with one hand, it's already not a d'oraisa. According to Rabbi Yehuda, I don't care about that. And as we'll see in a moment, Rabbi Yehuda Omer, no, a bow is asur. Don't forget, Rabbi Yehuda holds that if you're doing something to leave it there, I don't care if it's easy to undo it. You got the same problem. So what's the solution? Instead of taking these two ends of the rope, right, in the area where they got cut, and tying them, put them together. Don't knot them. Put them together. Take another beged and wrap it around them. Either a punda, which is a belt, or again from our Mishnah psikia, or girdle. What's the pshat? Again, you're going to use a garment that people regularly use. So for sure, they're not going to leave it there. That's the solution. It's similar to the Tanakam over here. But don't make a bow. It's not l'chayra. That's the Havamina. Really, Rabbi Yehuda would allow you to make a bow. Really. That's the Havamina. Why does he not allow a bow? Gzeira. If they'll allow a bow, you might make a knot. So he does ascribe to this Gzeira. The Chachamim that allow a oinvoi, they don't make a Gzeira. That's the Havamina. So Kasha the Rabbi Yehuda, right? And Kasha the Rabbanon, answers the Gemara, the Rabbanon, loy Kasha. Why is that? Chevel b'chevel michalaf. In our Mishnah, right? They hold that one rope and another rope, right? You might confuse. And b'meila, therefore, they hold, don't use a chevel of a weaver. Because if you use a chevel of a weaver, you might confuse it with a regular chevel. Aniva b'kshira might lay mechalfa. But when the Chachamim give the solution here to make a bow and a knot are different. These two things won't be confused. Hassan, the reason why he doesn't allow a bow is not because Rabbi Yehuda doesn't subscribe to these gazetas. Rabbi Yehuda allows you to use a weaver's rope because you won't confuse a weaver's rope with a regular rope. The reason why in the Braisa he doesn't allow you to connect these two broken parts of the rope with a bow, that's Rabbi Yehuda l'shitasei el aniva gufa kshirehi, as we spoke out. Was Rabbi Yehuda argues with Rav Meir. He doesn't care if it's easy to undo it with one hand. Well, who cares? If you're gonna fix that rope itself, you leave it the way it is as long as it works. And then you violated an Isur Doiraisa. So the solution must be, again, that you use a beged. A beged is something that the owner is gonna need to retrieve. So whatever they did is going to be on a very temporary basis. Okay. Maybe a person can bring a rope from their house. If they want to temporarily keep their cow here, and one of the areas to which they would affix a cow would be to the feeding trough of the cow itself. You can tie one end to the cow, one end to the avos, and you're good. And you're good. Why are you good? Because certainly this chevel that you're bringing is something that you will not leave there. So says the Gemara, Eisvei Rab Acha Aricha, which is Rab Acha Bar Papa. By the way, when you make a siyum, if you remember, we quote all of the 10 sons of Rav Papa. The fourth is Rab Achoi. That's him. That's Rab Acha. He was very tall. So Rabbi Acharicha asked, Rabbi Abba, it says in a Braisa, Chevel Shebe Evois, Koishroi Bepara, that if it's already tied to the Evois, then you can tie the other end to the cow. If when Shabbos came in, one end was already tied to the Para, then you can tie it to the Evois, right? Ubelvad Befedish, Shelayavi Chevel Metoich Beise V'yikshir Baparo Be'evois. Because then we are afraid that you'll leave it there permanently, or even better, you zicher never leave for a long time that rope tied, connecting the para and the feeding trough. No one does that. The only question is, when you will undo it, how much of it will you undo? The Braisa seems to be applying that if you're going to tie both ends, even though you will untie one, but you might leave the other. So that other one is going to be more permanent. So that's a problem. And that goes mamash against that which we are quoting Rav, that says you can tie them both. So the Gemara answers, same nekuda. In the Braisa, we're speaking about a chevel da alma, a regular rope. The owner has no need for it. And even though people never leave their cow tied permanently to something, because cows to begin with, we learned this in the trapping sugya, they're not animals that roam around that much. Elama, you will only untie one end, but the other end you will leave. So since one end you will leave, you may not tie both ends, because one of them will be kasher shal chayama. But here, Rav was speaking about, like in the Mishnah, chevel de garde, again, we're not going with the gzeid over here. Since the weaver needs his rope, he'll leave it here only very temporary. He will untie both ends to get his chevel back. So therefore, you can lechatchila tie both ends on Shabbos. And look at the whole DAF today. We're going to speak about so many different topics. Look how we go me'inyan le'inyan. So we were speaking about the eluk shadim, about making knots. What we mentioned, a weaver's rope. So once we mentioned kalim of a weaver, Ramam is going to another inyan connected to other kalim of weavers. So Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, Klei Kivoye, all weavers' implements are allowed to be moved on Shabbos. Now let's go a quick jump ahead. You have different categories of kalim that are muktzah. And we're going to learn a lot about it, God willing, in Perek Kol HaKelim and Kuf Chav Beis. There's one category, and those of us who learn are familiar with the category called Kli Shemalachto Le'isr. Now the emesis, the halacha is that even something that's muktzah, many times it could be moved. There's L'tzorech Atzmai, L'tzorech Gufai, L'tzorech Mekaimai. We're not getting into this right now. We are going in DAF Kuf Yud Gimel with the approach that if something is designated exclusively to be used for something that cannot be done on Shabbos, weaving cannot be done on Shabbos. If the kalim of these kivoyes are made to be used only for weaving and not to anything that is allowed to be done, so it's a keli shemalachta le'isr. According to our sugya, it will remain muktzah, and you will not be allowed to move it. Period, with no atayim. So says Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel that these kalim are not made to only be used for weaving, like we're learning over here. See, the weaver's rope, he doesn't mind if you go and you tie your pail to it. He's not going to allow you to leave it there permanently, which is good. That means it's not going to be a kasher shel kayama, but they don't care if you use it for other items. So therefore, it bechlal does not become included in the category of a klei shemalachta le'isr. Now the Gemara is going to go into certain parts of the looms that are very heavy. The heavier a keli is, the less likely it will be that they use it for anything other than its designated purpose. And here we're speaking about kalim whose primary designated purpose is weaving. So by Rav Yehuda, right, he quoted Shmuel, so they asked of him, what about a part of the loom? So you have it's called the kovet ha'elyon and the kovet ha'tachton, right? There are beams. These beams, Rashi says, are heavy. And because of their weight, maybe they should be keli shemalachta le'isr. That even if you want to make the effort and to move it for some type of permissible use, right? Again, we're not going into tzarech makaymai, tzarech gufay. According to our sugi, if it's a keli shemalachta le'isr, that's it. It's completely muktzah. What's the din? And interestingly, right, this is something that we might be familiar with. And says the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda never gave the same answer. Look at these words. En v'lav v'raf yadayadei. Sometimes he said yes. Sometimes he said no. But sometimes it is a keli shemalachta le'isr, muktzah. Sometimes it's not. And he was weak in this. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda himself went through periods he didn't know for sure. So sometimes he paskin yes, sometimes he paskin not. Says the Gemara Itma, Amar Nachman Amar Shmuel, Klei kivoye mutal tatel on the Shabbos. Right? Weavers' implements, like we see over here from the rope, are not designated as klei shemalachta le'isr. And that, at least here, Shmuel, Rabbi Yehuda didn't know. But he's quoting the same teacher, the teacher of Rabbi Yehuda, Shmuel, that afilu kovet ha'elyon and kovet ha'tachton, not rafya. He knew is also not muktzah. But there's one exception. But there are posts, another part of the loom, that are in the ground, right? They're not cemented in the ground, that for you to remove them from the ground, that is something that you may not do. And the question is it because of muktzah or is it because of something else? Because now that we established that weavers don't only use their kalim for weaving, so why is the amud different? So Amalei Rav Nachman Ma'ishna Amudim Doloi, and if you're going to tell me not because of muktzah, there's another issue, and that is ilaymed avid gumais, because you're making holes in the ground. Now we already had this earlier that a hole in the field is connected to chayrish, but a hole in your home, and these looms are not out in the field; they are in your home. It's connected to the malach of boina. Now, have a think about it. Look at the logic over here. When you have a beam already in the ground and you are removing it, did you make a hole? If you made a hole, then you can't remove it. It's boina. But you can argue you are not making the hole. The hole was already there. Maybe you're being megala the hole. That's the back and forth now. The problem is gumais, says the Gemara, can be because gumais memela kahavya. You're not making a hole. You might be revealing it. And I'll prove to you that since those holes were already there, you're not violating boina. And what's my proof from a Mishnah? A Mishnah in Kalayim. Now that we're going, mamash, we're jumping to a different topic. It says the Mishnah that hatoimin lefes v'tzenoinois tachas hagefen. It was common, they did not have a refrigeration. One of the ways that you keep certain vegetables fresh is by putting them in the ground, but you didn't plant them in the ground, you just left them in the ground temporarily, that they should remain fresh. So says the Mishnah that you are allowed to bury turnips, you are allowed to bury radishes in the ground, even what's the chiddush, even though you're putting it tachas hagefen under a grapevine, right? And that you can argue planting it there will go into kalayim, you're not planting it. And furthermore, im mixas olam nigulen, if some of the leaves are out, we'll see that for one of the following dinim, that makes it even better. That means it's easier for you to take it out. And the Mishnah says, Eino choishish. Now, what would have been the problem? Not because of kalayim, because you cannot plant these vegetables in a vineyard, but that's not called planting. You can't plant on the Shemitah year. You could store it on the Shemitah year. Once something was already tithed, but if you put it in the ground to plant it, the moment you planted it, now you're starting all over again. And if you remove it from the ground, you can argue now you have to take maises again. You don't have to do that. You did not plan to plant it. You only stored it there. And furthermore, vinitolan b'Shabbos. Now, vinitolan b'Shabbos, that's the only issue of you needing to leave the leaves up the ground. Because if you put them in the ground and there's no way for you to chop it, and you have to now dig a little bit of the earth to get to it, that's already a problem of chodesh. But since you left the olim sticking out, you just chop the leaves, you don't touch the earth. The earth is also muktzah. You're just picking it up. You're not doing anything. Now, what do we see over here? Hold on. And what do we see over here? Now, whether it's baina, whether it's chodesh, making holes is always asur. It's not called making a hole. Why isn't it making a hole? The answer is because the hole was made before. We're not speaking about you putting it in the ground on Shabbos. That for sure you may not do. If it was already in the ground, you can remove it. Either is a guma. You're not making a guma. You're just revealing the guma. So all this is a kasha. Why would Shmuel, who's so lenient, even when it comes to the upper and the lower beams, that it's not a keli shemalachta le'isr, so why would the amudim be a keli shemalachta le'isr? Same thing, it's not. So what's the problem? The Gemara says, hold on. Taking it out of the ground is not making a hole. We know that. The reason why it's asur is because there's a gezeda. What's the gezeda? That when you have a hole in your house, you'll be tempted to flatten it out. And being mashva gumais is connected to baina in the home. So again, you're not doing an isur doiraisa, but there's a gezeda. We learned in Kalayim that in the field you are allowed to remove it on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, common sense. Who cares if there's a little bit of a hole in the ground in your field? No one cares. But in the house, no one wants a hole in their home. That was their floor. So there's a gezeda that they might come to be mashva gumais, and that's the only reason why Shmuel asered you using that part of the loom machine. Says the Gemara. Same question. Again, that Rav Shmuel didn't know. Sometimes this, sometimes that. Klei kivoi kigoin. Mahu l'taltel on the Shabbos is it a klei shemalachta le'isr? Amalei ein metaltelin. He argued with Shmuel. My tam lefi she'ein nitalin. Since de facto, because of their weight, they are not moved. So even though the weaver doesn't care if his implements are used for other purposes, doesn't matter what he cares about according to Rabbi Yehuda bar Levoi. It's about, is it used for other things? And even if there's only technical reasons that prevents these items to be used for anything other than weaving, then it is included in the isur of keli shemalachta le'isr. And according to our sugi again, it will become muktzah on a much greater level than how we paskin when it comes to keli shemalachta le'isr. And we'll speak a lot more about muktzah in a couple of daf and Periscope. Okay. So now, and the link, now that we suggested using a garment as a temporary rope to use to get the water out of the well, attaching it to the bucket. So now we're going to go into a sugi of garments, and we're going to go completely off the Elo Aksharim. Says the Mishnah, in the days of Chazal, when you had clothing, when you took them off, if you did not fold them properly, right after it was washed and they put some sort of starch, at least, the garments, so to say, stood firm. It wasn't the end of the world. It got creased, but no. If the starch of your laundering already left those garments, the garments then would crease so badly that they would be ruined. You would have to launder them again, to starch them again. Okay, so the question is, are you allowed to fold garments on their creases in order for them not to get wrinkled? That's the question. Says the Mishnah, Mikalpin esakelim, you are allowed to fold garments. Afilu arba v'chamisha pa'amim, even 4 or 5 times. Now Rashi is crucial, says Rashi, Kedei lachzer v'loloiv shoym bay bayom. You are allowed to fold your garments if you need them on Shabbos. Even if you're taking them off and putting them back on that Shabbos, then you can fold them. In other words, what is the issur of folding? Not tikkun mana, you're not being mesaken, but here we're going into the concept of hachana. Hachana means that I am not allowed to use any of my time or effort on Shabbos for the weekday. So if I'm taking off my pants and I only plan to put them back on Sunday, or even Mitzvah Shabbos, which is Sunday, I can't fold them. I can't fold them when I put them away. Why am I folding them? In order for me to be able to re-wear them when they're still decent looking. Well, if it's not for Shabbos, then you can't do that. But if you're going to put them back on Shabbos, then you could do it. Very good. And likewise, you can make your bed. Making the bed can be kapshutai. Can you make your bed, what we call making it neat? If it is for Shabbos, then you may. That means if you want to go back and lay down Shabbos day, then you can make it at Shabbos morning. But if you're only making your beds for after Shabbos, that's going to be asur. That's the isur of achana. Avaloi mishabbos l'mitzvah Shabbos. Now, says the Mishnah, this is a moedik machlekes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva, based on the premise that if you have 2 days, one back to back to the other, the less holy day may be in service for the holier day. And according to Rabbi Shmuel, Shabbos has more kedusha even than of Yom Kippur. So says Rabbi Shmuel, and this is only negei lamaisa in the times that we have fixed the calendar based on the 2 testimonies, because nowadays Yom Kippur and Shabbos are never adjacent. Yom Kippur will never be on Friday. Yom Kippur will never be on Sunday. But when they had before Hillel the Minor made the calendar, it could have come that way, says Rabbi Shmuel, that mekalpen esakelim umatzina samitos, folding your garments, preparing your beds. It could be done if Yom Kippur fell out on Friday, you can do it from Yom Kippur to Shabbos. And likewise, bisman habayis, the chelvei Shabbos, certain fats of korbanos, the korban was geshachten on Shabbos. Right now we're going hachana in the opposite direction. Chalavim lechatchila mitzvasan bayom, but certain fats, as long as the zrikas hadam was done on the day of the shechita, it can be done that night. So Shabbos going into Matzah Shabbos, can you burn the chelav of a korban of Shabbos on Yom Kippur? It's amazing. It's hachana, not from before to later, but in the reverse order. If you're going to burn it on Yom Kippur, then you're going to be using your time and efforts of Yom Kippur to be in service to the prior day. According to Rabbi Shmuel, you may. V'chelvei Shabbos kirevim b'Yom Kippurim, but not the other way around. Avaloi sholem HaKippurim b'Shabbos. In other words, if Yom Kippur is on Friday and you shechted a korban on Friday and Yom Kippur, and you didn't put the chelav on the mizbeach, you may not put it on Shabbos. According to Rabbi Shmuel, Shabbos is holier than Yom Kippur. Let's go that Rabbi Shmuel, it represents a tzaddik, right? For a tzaddik, Shabbos is a tzaddik. Yom Kippur is tshuva, a bal tshuva. According to Rabbi Shmuel, the tzaddik is greater. However, Rabbi Akiva represents the bal tshuva. He doesn't say that Yom Kippur is greater. He says they are both equally great. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Loi shal Shabbos k'nei Yom Kippurim, Loi shal Yom Kippurim k'nei b'Shabbos. Since they're both equal, neither can be in service of the other. Okay. Amri de Rabbi Yanai says the Gemara, going back to the folding of garments, they should not wrinkle. Loi shanu. When did the Mishnah give you permission that you may fold them? See, there's hachana, and then there's a tikkun keli. That's only ba'adam echad. If one person is folding it, but mainly he doesn't fold it perfectly. So there will be some wrinkles. However, abol b'shnei adam, shnei b'nei adam loim. But if 2 people want to fold it together, like Rashi says, 10 lines before the bottom of the Amid, when two people fold a garment, is mafshitin kimteim, they fully take away all of the creases because they stretch it out. So you're making a perfect keli. That is something that the Veda B'yanai hold you may not do. And furthermore, he limits it. By chadashim, even if you would not fold it, since there's still some starch in it, it wouldn't be completely ruined. But if you have a garment that's old, whatever that means, it means that if you will not fold it, it's going to be so wrinkled that it's completely unusable, and you're folding it makes it usable. It's like tikkun keli loy. And furthermore, the chadashim namely amarim elabel levanim only by white garments, but by colored garments. Interesting, abel b'tzavuyim loy, because colored garments. Listen to this: when you fold them, you improve them. So if it's by white only to prevent ruin, it's lesser problematic in tikkun keli. But when you do something that makes it even better, that is something, even if you're using it for baybayim. So what? You can, so to say, rabbinically be masakan keli. And again, even when we're being matir in the Mishnah, white garments by one person, if you have nothing else, but if you have other clothing, even by white, even by one person, we prefer for you not to fold the clothing according to our Gemara. Okay, time to be learned in the Brisa that shall base Rabbi Gamliel, they indeed would not even fold their white garments, even by one person, because they were a wealthy family. And again, this fits with what we learned in the Vei Rabbi Yanai. So now that we're learning about garments on Shabbos, now we're going to dig into sugya of kavod Shabbos. One of the ways we are mechabed Shabbos is by wearing specially designated big day Shabbos. So this is not about folding. If you can afford to have two sets of clothing, setting aside one exclusively for Shabbos, yachlif. It's better that way. It's better to have garments only worn for Shabbos, big day Shabbos. It's only the im ein lahachlif. So you're going to wear the same weekday clothing. If you are able to make it more dignified, do that. How would they do it then? You should let your garments down. Noblemen, Rashi explains, b'nei malachim, they would wear long garments. Who would wear a kurtzerekel? People that are working in the fields. It's something not dignified. Now, it was common, people didn't have the money for a long jacket, for a short jacket. Everyone got a long jacket, and while you worked, you would roll it up. So even if you can't afford a new garment, at least let it down. So it should look more dignified. That's the source. At Shabbos, we wear a kapata. Other people wear a bekesha, not the short jacket. That's all from the Gemara because it's considered as a beged of a melech. Right, hold on. If you have a person that during the week he only wears a short jacket, and on Shabbos he's going to let that garb down, it's not a jacket, it was a jalaba. The other side said, be a nobleman. And the Gemara says, good, for Shabbos it's good because it's not your arrogance. Kivin says the Gemara, no, it's not a person who's a commoner, a working man that's dressing up the way a nobleman does. No, every day he goes around the way a working man does. And he's only doing it now. It's clear that way he's not doing it because he's arrogant. He's doing it l'chavod Shabbos. And now we're going to go to the pasuk in Yeshayahu, in the pasuk, and we will properly touch it. And you shall honor Shabbos. That's kavod Shabbos. Me'asois derochecha. Me'asois means that you honor the Shabbos by not doing your normal derochecha. Don't go on your regular ways. Taiches the Gemara. V'chibadetoi means this. Garments. Shelo yehem albushcha shel Shabbos k'malbushcha shel chol. Don't wear the same garments. And that backs up v'chiyad Rabbi Yechanan. That Rabbi Yechanan Koren Lemani Rabbi Yechanan would call his garments mechabdusai, those who honor me. Because yes, garments honor the wearer. Not you are what you wear, but it's mechabed the wearer. So therefore, it makes sense that if the Torah tells you v'chibadetoi, so put on something that adds to kavod. What is that? Bigadim. Then let's go right with the pasuk. When it says me'asoy zerochecha, in other words, you honor the Shabbos also by not doing your normal ways. What does that mean? Shelo yehi luchacha shel Shabbos, that pashut, your walking of Shabbos should not be ki luchacha shel chol, the way you walk in the weekdays. And the Gemara is going to ask soon what pashut, what that means. Hold on, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's just continue with the pasuk. Then the pasuk says, "Vayter mi mitzvah chefzecha." Again, this is what you should not do. Don't seek your ways. What does that mean? That indeed your activities for you is asur. The example that Chazal give on this pasuk is a person may not walk on their fields on Shabbos to see what type of work they need to do. They're not planning to do it on Shabbos, but they're planning already for the week. Don't do that. But what may not be done, Taka, the Gemara says, your chafotzecha. However, chefse shamayim, but the needs of God indeed are mutarim. And the last Rashi in the Amid says, what are we referring to? That mafagchim b'tzorchet tzibur b'Shabbos, says Rashi, poiskin tzedakah, people make pledges on Shabbos, people spend time on Shabbos to be meshadich, akalas, all of that is called chefse shamayim, and that's something that's allowed to be done. Then the passing goes weiter, v'daber davar, daf kuf yud gimel amid beis. Again, this is all what you should refrain from. What does that mean? Right? So Rashi says, what does that refer to? What are you talking about? Whether you're talking about, Rashi says in the top line, business activities, you're making cheshbonos, don't say it. However, is medayek the Gemara that al pi halacha dibur is that asur, but hirur, but thinking business, thinking cheshbonos is muter. As we learn a lot in Chassidus, again in the context of Masechta Shabbos, that we rest because God rested. Now, what did God rest from? God stopped creating. If God stopped creating, how was there a world? Right? God is creating every instant. So how can you say that God rested from creating on Shabbos? So the answer is, these are the words that during the weekdays, Hashem creates through words. Right? Baruch Sha'amar v'hoya ba'asara ma'amaros. On Shabbos, the world is created continuously from God's thoughts, which means that Hashem does not stop thinking about the creation. So when we keep Shabbos to do what Hashem does, so it is our words that have to rest. But our thoughts, yichap, is al pi halacha. Now there's tzaddikim on a different level. Greater people even refrain from thinking of, but we're speaking about here in Nigla. Now, everything was understood aside of the walking. Says the Gemara now, Bishlem kula lachaya. Elo, the statement that we had, Shelo yehi luchacha shel Shabbos, ki luchacha shel chol, mahi, what's pashat the pshat, says the Gemara kihad, Amar Afuna Amar Av, or Amar Elei, Amar Abba, Amar Afuna, that hoya mahalech b'Shabbos. If a person is walking on Shabbos and they're going somewhere, but what's in their way? A stream of water. If it's so narrow that when you step over it, you are able to always have 1 foot on the ground, you don't need to jump, is good. Then mutter, but the imlav, but if you need to jump, in weekdays you jump. Shabbos, rest from jumping, don't jump. Upa, says the Gemara, no. That doesn't make sense. So what are you telling the person should do? Leak off. So if you can't jump over it, what will be the solution? Right? Either to walk through it or to walk around it. Neither of them makes sense. If the solution will be for him to walk around it, then doesn't make sense that because of this divrei Kabbalah, don't jump on Shabbos, you're going to be matriach this person to walk around it. Sometimes the stream can be very long, but he's going to walk another 20 minutes. Now, obviously, when it comes to Chilul Shabbos Doiraisa, we walk to shul, and God forbid we don't take our car to shul, and we don't say, komapish v'hilucha. No, that's not to violate a Doiraisa. But if this divrei Kabbalah, the ruach, is pashat, Shabbos should be a yom menucha. Al pi pashtus a yom menucha. It goes against the yom menucha. Elamai li'avar, cross it, that we know we can't do. You can't go into water, even when people would bathe on Shabbos, and even after the takana, not in hot, but in cold, don't go with garments into water because you might squeeze it out. And that's malab, that's schita mishum malabin. What do you say? La'avar, zimnin, the metafson money maya. Sometimes your garments are going to become soaked with water, and you're going to be tempted, not a little bit wet. And also they schita with mayim is asur mitzad melabing. Elabaha, indeed, the Gemara concludes, Kivan de it's not ideal for you to jump, but when you come across a stream of water and it's very long, and if you're going to have to walk around it, you're going to have to be komapish be'ilucha shapir dami, you are allowed to jump over it. So we're back to the kasha. What's the pshat? Shelo yehi hilucha chashal Shabbos ki hilucha chashal chol. Ella, says the Gemara, is kidaboy minei Rabbi ben Abi Shmuel ben Rabbi Yossi. What was that tiboya? He asked him, can you take long strides on Shabbos? Now, there are many ways of teaching this psiagasa. We also had this, my friends, in brachas. Let's go with the pshat that a regular step is 1 amma, around 1.5 feet. And on Shabbos, don't take larger steps. Now, hold on. Many people do that when they're walking. It's also, you're walking very quick. It's like jumping. Walk ruyik. Says the Gemara, Amar Loi, right? Doesn't make sense. That's the pshat. That implies that the psiagasa is only something that should not be done on Shabbos. But even in the weekdays, you're not allowed to do it. Why? The reason why you can't do it on the weekday is because when a person takes psiagasas, it diminishes their vision, and one may not behave in a way that is detrimental to one's health. However, for a psiagasa, there is a solution. And what is the solution? That when you make kiddush Friday night, that kiddush brings back your vision. And that's the answer. When does the kiddush bring back the vision? If you took psiagasa during the week. But if you're going to take a psiagasa on Shabbos, then the kiddush that you're making will not restore your vision. And that's the answer, that even though during the week people do exercise, psiagasa, or you're in a rush, it's not the end of the world, even though it always hurts your vision, but you're going to get it back by kiddush. But on Shabbos, you'll never get it back. So that's the pshat. Never take long strides don't take psiagasa on Shabbos. Now, when it comes to how does the kiddush Friday night restore your vision, you have many opinions in the Rishonim. One of the shita that the Ritva holds is that, we know this from Havdalah, but in the Gemara we didn't have it in Havdalah, is that after they would make kiddush, they would take some of the wine in the tray and they would put it over their eyes. And we just learned in the whole sugya of remedies that putting wine in the eyes is therapeutical for your eyes. You may never put it in your eyes because then it's mechse, mucha chamilsa del refuah. Remember that by wine? But you can put wine over the eyes. It's like you're washing. It's not mucha chamilsa del refuah. And taka, they would take, according to the Ritva, they would take wine from Kiddush and they would put it over their eyes, on the eyelids. And that was in order for them to get healed from all of the potential vision that was lost. That is the makayr of us nowadays doing that by Havdalah. Just to know that there are other shittos that hold that simply drinking the wine of Kiddush is already the solution. I just want to add one nuance, that as maybe the Alter Rebbe paskins that Havdalah should be made dafka on wine and not on grape juice. And we know that Rebbe was very medagdik and everything, but in this, to many people that were ill, and many stories that the Rebbe told them that they should drink wine for Havdalah, maybe it's connected to this. Maybe, in other words, if there's a certain type of segula aspect that we are nohug to use Havdalah in the place of Kiddush, but it was done by Kiddush. I'm just linking this Gemara. How did the Kiddush hear your eyesight? Maybe because it's connected to the sugya of remedies that we just had a few days ago. Remedies is not grape juice. When we learned about putting wine, it's uyayin, putting wine. So that's another benefit of making Havdalah with wine, that it also heals any sort of eyesight ailments. Says the Gemara Vayter. Now that
Rabbi.
Yes, quickly.
The source is Kiddush, not Havdalah, but we do it by Havdalah.
I know this. I don't know why it went to Havdalah, but just to know, it comes from this. It comes from this. The reason why we put the wine on our eyelids, I'm just saying maybe, is because we don't want to do anything therapeutical on Shabbos. And maybe in the times of Chazal, people would wash their face with wine. That was the whole thing. It was funny to us. Like in the eye, no, because then why are you doing it? You're doing it for a refuah. On the eyelid, you're washing your face. I never washed my face with wine. So taka, for us, it's still asur midrabanan. So and Havdalah is connected to Kiddush, especially according to the Rambam. The Rambam holds that Havdalah is midoraisa from the same Zajac as Shabbos Lakatra. There is a link. You are remembering Shabbos. The Rambam says, Okay, right. Now, boy, Rebbe. So the same Rebbe asked Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, that's the link. Certain earth was therapeutical. Can you eat earth on Shabbos? The same type of answer, what only on Shabbos is your kasher, what no, says Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Yossi. You know why? Not only does it not bring about healing, and could be something in the earth heals you, but eating earth b'chlal is not good for you, so you may never do it. And now we have a backup to that. Whoever eats any earth of bubble, it's disgusting. You're eating your parents' flesh. Why is that? Because all of the people that got killed in the Mabul, ultimately their waters, we learned this a few times, receded in bubble, as the Gemara is going to tell us. So in the earth is the remnant of them. Also the shkatzim and amasim that died in the flood, in the Mabul. As it says, and we learned this guys in Zvachim. And as the Chazal say, that indeed, why is it that some parts of bubble are called shiur in the Torah? They were dumped there. Nina'aru. So that's shiur. So again, that's just backing up the concept that the Saravoisef are there, Shkatzim and Amasim are there. Amar Rabbi Yechanan, why is bubble sometimes called Mitsula, the deep? Because all of them sank in there. The Gemara is going back. What? That doesn't make sense. Is itamachu, they were completely dissolved. Halachically, it's not an issue. So says the Gemara, you're right. Halachically, if you're eating that earth, you're not eating shkatzim v'damasim. However, kiven the malki, really eating earth is not good for your health. And that was a chiddush that Chazal had, because there are certain earths that have in them some nutrients, some minerals that are good. So people ate earth. We knew the emes, we told people don't eat earth. People were not listening to us. So when we told them, that in the earth, the shkatzim v'ramasim, then they listened. No, it was said only to stop people from eating earth. Now, why is earth injurious? So Gaza Beit Rabbanan and shkatzim v'ramasim. There was a man who ate some clay, some earth, and right afterwards, the achal tachle, he ate cress, a vegetable. You know what happened to him? That cress, Pasha took root in the earth, in the stomach, and a plant began to grow, and that went into his heart and killed him. And that's why we know not to eat earth. People didn't know that. And there are certain good things in the earth, so people were eating earth. So you're asking me whether you can eat a certain earth on Shabbos. You may never eat earth. Okay, now coming back to Big Day Shabbos, and where do we find Big Day Shabbos and Rus? Look at the link. And now we're going to go into the ganze conversation between Boaz and Rus. So state in Rus that Naomi tells Rus, Naomi wanted that when Boaz looks at Rus, she should look presentable. That v'rochatzta, you should bathe, v'rochatzt, lashon nekeva, v'sochat, and v'samt sim lo yisayich, right? Put on your garments. So Amar Rabbi Elazar, what garments was Naomi telling us to put on? Per Bigadim Shel Shabbos. Again, another source that de facto that Yidden are nohug to have garments that are especially for Shabbos. And now let's go into that whole conversation. So says the Gemara that when Shlomo HaMelech said the words that ten l'chacham v'yachamoid, the Rebbe always uses these words, right? Who does that specifically refer to? Amar Rabbi Elazar, it refers to one event that happened with Rus HaMoyaviyah and another that happened with Shmuel Haramasi, as the Gemara explains. Rus, the Ilu Naami, in this event, when she told Rus to get dressed up nicely. So look at the Seder Hadvarim. Naami tells Rus that v'rochatz, v'sochak, v'samt simli sayich, olayich, and then v'yorada tahagoyim, go down to the threshing floor. But what was the Seder? First dress up nice, and then go to the threshing floor. V'ilu b'di dakseh, but when she obeyed her mother-in-law, but how did she do it? First, she went down to the goyim. And only when she got to her destination, there is where she prepared herself. There, it says, why did she do that? Makes sense. She did not want to be seen walking around dressed up too nicely out there at dark. People are going to be chosh at her. Maybe she's a zayna. So she went dressed modestly, and she only after she reached there did she get dressed up. And similarly, by Shmuel, we find that's when Shmuel is in his bed. He hears his name being called. He thought that Eli HaKohen is calling him. Really, the Shechina was calling out to him. That happened a few times. He went running to Eli. Eli says, I did not call you. Go back to sleep. Finally, Eli chapped that maybe the Shechina is speaking to Shmuel. So Eli advised Shmuel that when you hear someone calling your name, Shchav, don't come running to me. Stay in your bed. And go back to bed. And if you hear that voice again, so va'amarta, and these are the words that Eli told Shmuel to say, that Daber Hashem, speak Hashem, ki shomeya avdecha, because I'm paying attention. Now, what did Shmuel indeed say? That by Yahweh Hashem, that Taka Hashem came back. By Yisyatsev, Kaviyachal Hashem stood there. By Yikra, Kepam Bepam, and God called out again. How? B'lashon Chiba, Shmuel, Shmuel. And what did Shmuel say? Shmuel didn't say Daber Hashem. He didn't say God's name. He said Daber ki shemeya avdecha. As Rashi 27, 28 lines from the top of the Amid says that Shmuel wasn't certain yet that this is the voice of the Shechina. Shmuel did not want to take Hashem's name in vain. So maybe it's not the Shechina. So instead of him saying Daber Hashem, if he's speaking to Hashem, then he's allowed to say Hashem's name. That was the chachma of Shmuel as a child. Since he wasn't certain yet, he didn't say Hashem's name. Now that we mentioned Rus and Boyaz, let's go weiter. So steht dort in Batelech that Rus went. Batavi, and she came. Batalakin Basad, and she was gleaning in the field. What do you mean? She went and she came. Says she was gleaning. How do you think she got there? She walked there to get there. You know, the Telech and Tavayin is coming to hint to something. So I'm going to that she was very modest. She wasn't going to go to the field with any group. She went to see the moral of the group, the ethics of the group. If she didn't find them to be tzaddikim, she went back. She kept on coming and going until she found the right group. Then it says, weiter in the pasuk, Boaz told the servant, the one that was overseeing all the harvesters, when he noticed Rus, to whom does this nara belong to? Well, who speaks that way? He was looking at the maidens. This was exceptional. There was something special about Rus that caught his attention. That the Bar Chachma Ra'abah, the Bar Chachma is that if Shnei Shibalim Lakata, guys, when we own a field, we have to leave leket, we have to leave shikha. Shikha is that even if the grain is still standing, if you walked by them, you got to leave them. When you're gathering the stalks, if one or two fall, you got to leave them on the ground. If three fall, then you can pick them up. So she noticed, Boaz noticed that whenever there were only two shabalim, which is taka where the owner is mechuyev to leave it as leket, she would take that. But if there were three shabalim together, then Rus didn't take it. Other harvesters didn't know that. They took whatever they found. Another detail. So that was Dvar Chachma. She knew the halachas. In the Baraisa we learned Chachma and modesty. That Dvar Tznius Rabba. That Oimda is Ma'umad. That's already Shikha. Shikha means that their taka is still standing. Then again, she would take it while she is standing. But if Noiflois, but whenever she was gathering the leket, which means those stalks are laying on the ground, so it's not modest when you're standing to bend down. So how did Rus pick it up? She would sit down to pick it up. So whether he saw her chachma, whether he saw tznius, that's why it was appropriate for Boaz to ask, right, to the overseer, Lemi hanara hazos. And then ultimately he tells him, right, this is Boaz now speaking to Rus, that you shall cleave to my maidens. Says our word, the word of tidbakim is normally used in the context of a marriage. Why would Boaz use such words if he's telling Alpi Pashtos to Rus to join and to come back to harvest in these fields? Those are certain words that are not appropriate to be used in any context because they are normally associated with the act of cohabitation. No, that's not what he meant. He knew that Arpa kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. Well, what's the lashon pasuk? But virus dafka ba. So because of that midah taiva, we learned a lot this more in Saita, Amar, so Taka, that is what Boaz was alluding to. That Shirei Lidabukeba, it's worthy for me to marry you. He was really Taka using a word that already connoted that he was interested in marrying her. The hemshich to the same pasuk over there. Right, Boaz told her during the time of the meal, come haloim, come here. Amar Abelazar, again the remes ramazba, that I see the malchus based David, let's say smimeich, that from you is going to come malchus David, and on which we have in Nach the word haloim, as it says that this is when Nasan Hanavi notified David that malchus David will always stay to him and his family. So David was so humbled by that the monarchy is his forever. David, Vayeshev lifnei Hashem. Vayomer mi anochi Hashem Elikim umi basiki havi oisani ad haloim. So the haloim is a remez already to the future of Rus. Then it's said weiter that v'toval pitech b'chaimetz, that Boaz told Rus, dip your bread into chaimetz. Amen Abelazar mikan, from here we see that chaimetz yatzil l'sharav, that whenever there's very hot weather, chaimetz is a antidote. Abshmuel ben Achmeni Yomar. Before we go on, just because of this Amar Abelazar and another Shmuel bar Nachmani, these two Amoraim will be the link to the next sugya. So I'll cup that remez Ramasla, that again there's a remez in what he told her. Asad bein latzis mimech shemais of kashim kachaimetz. This was absurd. And who are we referring to? We are referring to King Menashe. And here chaimetz is connoting something negative. So there's something positive. Haloim, that Malchus based David is coming from you. You know, that's life. There's until Mashiach, there's good and there's the opposite. And he tells her, sit down on the side of the harvesters. He wanted to sit near her. What happened? Not only was she not sitting next to Boaz, not only did she not sit amongst the harvesters, she sat on the other side of the harvesters. So instead of them sitting together, Boaz was on one side and she was on the opposite side. So she ended up sitting on the side of the opposite side. And then that was technically what he meant. You go sit on the other side. Shall see the Malchus Beis David shetis chalei. Then when it says weiter, vatitzbok lo koli vatoichal, that he handed her koli, parched grain, and she ate. And there was a certain harchava during that meal. Amar Abelazar, and there are many words. It says vatoichal, vatizba, vatoisar. So it says Rabbi Elazar again. Vatoichal is what happened b'mei David. That was a remes. Vatizba, the satiation is b'mei Shlomo. Vatoisar is b'mei Chizkiah HaMelech, who's from the house of David. Beikad Amri more. Vatoichal b'mei David b'mei Shlomo. Vatizba goes b'mei Chizkiah. Vatoisar is in the days of Rabbi, which is Migeza David. The Amar Mar, in other words, that there was abundance. First of all, there was wealth. Begashmias, that all of them were wealthy, and it's also avada, the HaYOMI of Tes Nissen, nit heiser Geld is Yiddish Reichtum. In other words, the wealth Begashmias, but really it's the wealth Beruchnias. Now the Omar Mar regarding Rabbi, that Ahur Yorei, the Rabbi, that the stable man of Rabbi, and al pi halacha, the stable man gets to keep the manure, and manure has value. Rabbi had so many animals that there was so much manure that he was so wealthy that he was wealthier from the king Shvar Malka. So that's the wealth that Boaz, so to say, was showing her, that there's going to be an abundance. Again, the avada goes without saying, Rabbeinu HaKadosh, the wealth beruchnius. But Masni Satana, it's even more than that. Vatoichal bo'elam hazeh, vatizba limois hamoshiach. And Vataiser is La'asid Lavai. Now that we have Rabbi Elazar and Abshmuel ben Achmeni, let's have one more piece. So it says, now this is in reference to the to Yeshayahu, who was giving prophecy about the downfall of Sancheriev's army, who surrounded Yerushalayim. He made a chayzik. He told every soldier to take off one pebble from Chamis Yerushalayim, and there's no wall. And their backpacks, there were so many soldiers that they made a pile of their backpacks, and they stood on top of it, and they were over the walls. It was such a joke that he decided not even to attack. He says, let's sleep, we'll attack tomorrow. And what happened at the end is that a Malach came, as we learned in Sanhedrin, where there was 185,000 officers. There was a mishunadik number of soldiers there. And they died. They were burnt in their sleep. So we're going to learn about that statement again, Rabbi Elazar, and Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani. So when it says the tachas kevoido yeket, and beneath his honor, yeket, they're going to be put on fire. Yikoid ki koid eish, right? Like a flame of a burning fire. So we have a machlekes. Exactly how did they die? Omar Rabbi Yochanan, the tachas kevoidoi. Tachas kevoidoi means beneath their honor. V'loi kevoidoi mamish. Don't forget, we just learned above. Rabbi Yochanan understood that garments give you kavod. So kavod is garments. Tachas kevoidoi means the body that's underneath your kavod. So that's the word. Tachas means underneath. Underneath the garments, they burnt, which means unless their bodies burnt, but their garments was intact. Now, Rabbi Lazar agrees with Rabbi Yochanan. Same thing. Their bodies burnt of these 185,000 officers, but their garments remained intact. But he comes to that differently. According to Rabbi Lazar, kavoidai goes to the body. To the body, not to the garments. Tachas doesn't mean underneath. Tachas means instead of. Instead of their body, there was fire. Again, which means that their bodies burnt, but their garments didn't. Kavoidai, tachas kavoidai mamish. Tachas means in the place of. The body is what gives you kavod, not like Rabbi Yochanan. The same thing, their bodies burnt. Tachas kavoidai means in the place of. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachmani Omar, he agrees partially to Rabbi Yochanan and partially to Rabbi Lazar. Tachas kavoidai, he comes to the conclusion that what? That kavoidai, Rashi says 2 lines before the bottom of the Amid, kavoidai means the body. But tachas means not in the place of, tachas means underneath the body. Underneath their body means that the miracle wasn't only that their bodies burnt and not their garments. No, even their bodies didn't burn. That Hashem made a nest that what is under their body burns. In other words, their neshama was taken out of them. They looked intact, like we find lahavdil by Misa Shnei Bnei Aron. Tachas kevoidei kesreifes Bnei Aron. Malahal and sreifes neshama v'guf kayom. Afkan, the nest was sreifes neshama v'guf kayom. We'll stop over here, and God willing, a lot more to be continued. Big dafim. Have a good chodesh.
Thank you, Rabbi. Yashar koach.
Go ahead, Rabbi.